on what the scholars say and what medical science says, I agree more with the second group of scholars, and I would say that masturbation is makruh. It is discouraged. To make anything haram, you require a strong evidence from the Quran or from Sahih Hadith. And there is no evidence whatsoever. The verse of the Quran, I do agree with the second group of scholars. For example, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah be pleased with him, and the other group of scholars, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. I believe with Ibn Abbas' call that it is not haram. And this verse of Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 5 to 7, does not include masturbation. It's not prohibited. It is restricted to sexual intercourse. And I put it, because there's no evidence, it will either come in the mubah. I put in the makruh because I agree with the call of Ibn Hazm that it is not the act of nobility. It's not the norm, but because majority of the human beings are involved in it and there is no evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah to prohibit it, I put in the makruh category. Everything the majority do is not correct. For example, today, according to research, 95% of the women in the Western country, before they pass the university, they're involved in zina. That does not make zina halal, not at all. The Quran is very clear cut in Surah Isra chapter 17 verse number 32 that zina is prohibited, it is haram. Majority doesn't give it a sanction to make it halal, but if there is no text in the Quran or Sahih Hadith prohibiting it, it becomes mubah. I put it into the makruh category for various reasons. One of the reasons is it's not the act of the noble people. Number two, that excessive masturbation is haram. It can cause problems, it can cause health problems, it can cause problems in psychological, and most of the time masturbation is associated with haram activities. Most of the time masturbation is associated with pornography, whether you're watching a blue film or a pornographic film, or you're watching obscene photographs, images. Here itself, if it's associated with haram activity, that again becomes haram. So if you associate masturbation with pornography or with obscene photographs, it is haram and that is prohibited, and it leads to that high chances. That's the reason I would say that best is to avoid. But if you cannot marry for various reasons that we have, so the best would be you fast, as was recommended by the Prophet, as was recommended by beloved Prophet in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, hadith number 5066, that, O young people, whoever has the means to get married, they should get married. For it will help you to lower your gaze and guard your modesty. And if you cannot marry, then you fast, it will reduce sexual power. And this is scientifically proven that if you fast, it reduces your urge of your sexual desires. So the best is to fast. But it will not be possible to fast always, and depending upon the levels of sexual urge, that keeps on differing. So based on this, the mustahab is to fast. But if you cannot, or if that's not sufficient to suppress your desire, and if you have to masturbate, it is permitted. It is not a sin. There is no evidence anywhere in the Quran or Sahih Hadith which says that if you masturbate, you get a punishment. Here, the reason I'm saying this, that I being a medical doctor, I know that there are many Muslims, many of them, hundreds, who have come to me for consultation. And they believe, because of the views of most of the Muslims, they are good practicing Muslim, but they believe it is haram. So they come to me, and the similar what question was asked, that he's tensed, he's unhappy, and he has got mental stress. Because they are good practicing Muslim, they pray 5 times Salah, but they realize and they think masturbation is haram, so they get tensed up and worked up. And this causes many a times big problem. Because they think it is haram and they're doing it and they have the guilt feeling, this guilty conscience prevents them sometimes or many a times even to do good deeds. It disturbs them in their salah, it disturbs them in the reading of the Quran. So because of not knowing the fact, what is there in the medical science today, These people think it's haram, it disturbs them. So I would like to tell you that I'm not giving a blanket rule that do it. I'm just telling you best avoid it. But if you have sexual urges which you cannot suppress, doing masturbation is not haram according to me. It is permissible. Don't do it excessively. Once in a while, no problem. Don't be mentally disturbed that it's haram.